Welcome to the JD Bunkis podcast. Happy Halloween. Happy Game 6. Kids are at war with the adults. Make sure you put the buckets out tonight. All right? Let the kids fend for themselves. You know what? Some of them are going to be greedy. Some of them are going to ruin it for everybody. That age of probably like 12 to 13, where they're in the borderline years of trick-or-treating, they might take advantage of the situation. They might see a lonely bucket and a dimly lit front doorstep and pile all of that candy into a pillowcase. If that's what they're still doing. It's worth it. It's worth the risk. You got to watch this game. You got to watch this game. Trick-or-treating, it shouldn't go that late anyways. Like the game's at 8 o'clock tonight. It's a Friday. It's dark. It's rainy in Toronto. The cutoff time for the ones that really matter should be around 8 o'clock anyways. Should be able to do like the first part of the run. Let them fend for themselves. Let it be Lord of the Flies. Let all the kids just be out there. Like if all the adults are out watching the baseball game, maybe a little touch of Halloween bullying isn't so bad. I think that there's going to be a lot of doors that the kids knock on and nobody's home because people are at the stadium or people are in the bars. And honestly, that's one of my only PSAs for those of you that care tonight is sports are about bringing people together. And there's a weird thing with having pivoted sports fandom into social media where oftentimes it's turning people against each other. Who was right? Who was wrong? Who had the thing? Who didn't have the thing? So with this potential, with the ability for the Toronto Blue Jays to win a World Series, you should take a little time and reflect upon the relationships you have that are stronger because of this team. That could be a parent, that could be an aunt, could be a buddy, whatever, a colleague that you hit it off with. Those are the people that you should be texting with tonight. Those are the people that you should be watching with tonight. That should be the priority is, yes, it's fun to watch your baseball team potentially win. God, I'm going to try so hard today not to do any hexing. Like, it's Halloween. It's already spooky enough. I got spider webs in the studio. There's like a little skull beside me. The cursing is the spookiest part of today by far, okay? So I don't need that in the mentions. I really don't. You jinxed it. I hate that. It actually, so many people have made fun of me. So many people, I hate JD, I hate this, you're whiny, you're this, you're that, whatever. That water off a duck's back. Do not care. Pretty impervious to it compared to, I would think, most. When people blame me for the losses because of the cursing, it hurts. It hurts. It actually gets to me. It bothers me. So I'm going to try. I'm going to really, really try. But the potential to win. The sweetest thing is that if you can spend it with or around the people you forge stronger relationships with through this team. And honestly, that might have even happened just on this run. Even if you're a bandwagon fan and you're just enjoying the moment, be around the people that have helped make this moment more special to you. And that brings me to the two central figures for the Toronto Blue Jays and why this in particular is a little bit more special. So we've acknowledged over the course of this run and this weekend with the potential to, again, clinch a World Series. This is about a team that is unbelievably special and a country that loves and appreciates them properly in a way that now extends beyond the results. Yes, of course, winning is important. There will be massive disappointment if they're not able to close this thing out. But this is as good of a ride as we've ever been on. This team is as loved as any group I've ever seen. I was talking to good buddy Mike Fuda before his show the other day, and we were saying this is what it was actually closer to with the 93 Leafs, where no matter what ended up happening, everybody just loved that team because they gave you an honest effort. They had real personalities who understood the city, who understood the country, who understood the moment, and who never cheated you. And that's these Toronto Blue Jays. But when fixating on being with the people who matter the most to you and zooming in just a touch, it's about Vladdy and Bo. It's about the sons of big leaguers who arrived at the same time with the potential to take a team to exactly where they are right now, on the doorstep, knocking away for a World Series. They were the baby Blue Jays. We tried to force Kevin Biggio into there for a little while, but it didn't end up that way. But these two, they've had the journey together all along. They've been lockstep. They've been able to relate to one another. They've leaned on one another. It's always been about these two guys from the very beginning of their careers. You don't really mention one without the other. And that's why I was saying yesterday on the show with Ben, and I didn't really get enough time to flesh this out, but there's been a few times over the course of this World Series where you've really felt how impactful it is to have Bo Bichette back, not just because he's a good player, but because he belongs to be beside Vladdy on this stage in this moment. He earned the ability to be beside Vladdy on this stage in this moment. The Let's Go Bo chants when he first arrived at the plate in Game 1, and certainly when he drove in the RBI, that sort of was the nail in the coffin, the dagger for Game 5 in LA. So yeah, the baby Blue Jays have all grown up. They're here. They've arrived. They are currently in the moment. And they have the ability right now to write what could be the most important chapter or finish the most important chapter of their story. It's these two guys that complement each other so well. Bo, the individual, right? The tennis player. The guy who doesn't really say too much. Goes out and does it. Obviously obsessive. Obviously hyper competitive. Stoic. Not overly emotional. Not a ton of incredible sound bites for Bo Bichette over the course of his career, but you never question the intensity. Vladdy. The happy-go-lucky guy. Always a smile on his face. Criticized over the course of his career for trying to have too much fun, whether it was in the dugout with Teoscar Hernandez, whether it was pushing for the home run jacket, whether it's been chatting with guys at first base. He can't hide the joy. And I think that has benefited this team greatly because you do have these two guys that have always been in the middle of it who, again, complement each other, but also really seem to care about one another. Whenever they're given an opportunity to speak on the other person, it's always met with something glowing. And even when it comes to Bo Bichette's looming free agency, which now is feeling obviously less important given the fact that they're about to play 2 games to win a World Series, or maybe just one. But you kind of felt all along, based on the stuff that Bo said, that he wants to be with Vladdy for the entirety of his career. And that part of Vladdy wanting to be here is that he is with Bo Bichette. The love between them is real. And again, they have a chance to see something through that doesn't always happen with young guys who have promise and arrive in the league together. So this run has been magical. These guys' careers have been, they're not even halfway done. They've got a ton of time left to continue or to write the different chapters of their careers. But for this story, for this run, I hope they don't Game of Thrones it. I hope they don't ruin the ending. I hope that they write a perfect ending. I hope it's an absolute banger. And I can't wait to soak it in. Again, that's what so much of this is about, is being around the people that you love, the people that you forge relationships with baseball. And on this team, there's no two guys that matter more from that standpoint than Vladimir Guerrero and Bo Bichette. Yeah, speaking of guys that you want to be able to spend these moments with, been dying to have this guy back on. He's absolutely one of my favorites all time. It's Cliff Floyd, 97 World Series champion, 17 years in the big leagues, and of course now MLB Network analyst. What's up, buddy? Great to have you back.
What's up, my man? How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. I got to be honest. Like, now I'm really nervous about jinxing them. I don't want to say
I
anything.
think everybody is.
Oh, dude, I'm just sitting here like, okay, don't say anything dumb that gets put in a clip. And if they lose tonight, gets hammered everywhere and goes like, look at this stupid idiot with the round face yapping his mouth about how the Jays are locked in. So I'm gonna tread lightly here. But I want to start with this, like the Vladdy and Bo of it all, and start with Bo, just being able to come back in this World Series and not just play, right? Not just be a hobbled version of himself that comes in for a couple at bats, but now a guy who's hitting 300 over the course of the series. Someone who jumped in here, man, and is hitting 300 against one of the greatest starting pitching staffs that has ever been assembled for a postseason run. Like, had an ERA of, I think, 124 heading into this series and contributing the way that he does, and how much more complete that makes this Blue Jays team feel.
Yeah, Jay, you know what? So I have to go back probably a week ago. What? He probably came back a week ago, right?
Yep.
And I was on MLB Network, and I said, man, I didn't like the move. And then, and Casey was like, if you get Bo Bichette back, and I was like, it wasn't that I didn't want Bo Bichette back. Obviously, he's one of the best players in the sport when he's healthy and blah, blah, blah. I go, but can you imagine messing up the double play tandem that they had and how it was going? And you it was not like you didn't miss him. It was more like what was working. And I was completely wrong. I thought he was going to be hobbled. I thought when you look at George Springer, hobbled, and then another guy hobbled, like, are you, kind of crowding the bases? It was all down that line. And I said, but this is what you have to believe if you're an organization. You believe your best player is ready when you look him in the eye. You don't put him in a position to fail. And they did it right. And when you do it right, it doesn't matter what the outside noise says. It's a matter of what's in the clubhouse. And what a boost getting this dude back in that lineup on the field, looking like he hadn't missed a beat with no other than like what he was getting on the field. You couldn't send him down to get anything in the minor leagues. It's just been tremendous to see him back out there doing his thing.
Well, can you kind of expand on that last part for us, though? Because, again, you're a guy who's hit major league pitching before. You're a guy who has been in a World Series. For him to just basically go from, all right, I'm trying to do enough running where I can turn the bases and not be a liability. Like, they want to get my bat back in the lineup. I am somebody that, again, he's a contact hitter. He's got one of the better bat-to-ball abilities in all of baseball. He was leading the league in extra base hits before he left. I get it. He's a special talent. This isn't exactly right. Like this isn't some lesser player who had to jump back into the fire and do this. But the level of difficulty, I think we've taken it for granted just how good he's looked at the plate, how many hits he's been able to come up with. Again, this is 300 against Blake Snell and Yamamoto and Shohei Ohtani and Tyler Glass now. This is not this isn't the Pittsburgh Pirates on a Tuesday. This is the World Series, the biggest stage, and somehow he's just been able to completely find his form and execute despite all of the things that have worked against him with like trying to get the timing back and having no runway to work yourself up to this.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, man. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Jay, didn't he get a knock his first at bat? He
yes.
3-1 pitch. He right. And I said to myself, this is a result oriented type of situation. Like this, like you said, this is not game 150 where you're like, all right, listen, if you got 12 games to get ready for the postseason. If you look good, you'll be on the roster. No, this is a World Series. You don't get a mulligan, right? Like, and Snide, he has to then answer these questions. And I'm saying to myself, I didn't know how that was going to play out. And then, oh, by the way, you don't get the DH until Springer got hurt. You had to play second base, which you hadn't played in a while. Like this was
his entire
going
career.
down a bad road, right?
Yep.
And I just felt like man, they've gotten too far to risk this. But it's good to be wrong. It's good to see a dude that put the work in. And then when you're in the ALCS, you're saying, I'll be ready. I'll be back. And I'm like, man, this dude looks the part. Mm-hmm. But of course, you have to protect players from themselves. Because if you ask me right now, me sitting on this couch talking to you, hey, could you think you hit a fastball? Hell yeah, I can. Of course. But then you would tell me, boy, sit your butt down. You ain't hitting nothing. You know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to you have to know the situation. You have to know and you have to know exactly what's going on, and then you have to talk to the players who've done it. But I think everybody is holding down the fort to get your best players back.
Yeah.
And if your best player is performing, then this all works, and it's worked.
Yeah.
And the Jays look like the better team. Not look like, they are the better team to this point. I'm not jinxing anything. It's hard to put teams away, especially a team like the Dodgers. But you're in a great position. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't ask for any better than what you have right now.
No, man, I said it on my show yesterday. I did a block where I went, hey, what's the most surprising thing about this World Series so far? And my answer to that was that the Jays have looked like the better of these two teams. That they're
Oh
like
yeah,
it could very easily be over, and that's not for the Dodgers. That's for the Jays. Like you just look at the run differential and what Toronto has done in the series. Even so, game two, like they lose that one, but Yamamoto pitches a complete game. It's incredible the performance he has. But Gossman was going pitch for him, and that game basically got sorted based on one home run. That changed the complexity of the ball game. And then the other Dodgers win is an 18-inning game where the Blue Jays were down to nobody on the bench, playing far too many guys that probably shouldn't have been in that moment, couldn't string hits together, and still extended the Dodgers to 18, still gave them a massive headache trying to win that baseball game. The other three, it's been clear. Like the 3 wins that the Blue Jays have had, this wasn't like flukish. That's why I saw a lot of the stuff about Blake Snell yesterday, and I watched him say the Blue Jays got lucky, and part of me went, okay, that's just like a competitor who's pissed off in the moment. I'm okay with it. But I kind of wished I could just be like, hey, Blake, your ERA actually in this series is now like 7.5. And the Blue Jays have beat the brakes off you in 3 games. This doesn't really feel lucky to me, man. This feels like they're better than you.
yeah. You know what? And sometimes it be that way. And some dudes are going to say what Blake said, and that's cool. Like, hey, you know what? However you feel about it.
Yeah.
It's all within your clubhouse, so it doesn't really matter really outside of it, and that's for me and everybody else. I think the one thing I've been impressed with is taking the extra base, having a game plan, battling dudes, battling counts, making sure you give yourself a shot, to get a guy in. Yeah, okay, I get it. When you out homer your opponent, I get all that stuff, and I've always been an advocate of, if you play the game within the lines of what is in that situation right now, you're going to give yourself more and more confidence throughout the game. And I did say this about this Jays team. They're not going to be spooked like I thought the Brewers were spooked.
Yeah.
I just felt that. I just felt like their supporting cast players had a really good idea of who they are and had a really good idea of what was going on. And yes, you need your stars to show up, and Vlad has shown up, and it's been incredible to watch this dude, how he's taken on the responsibility and accountability of this team. But to see the supporting class, the comments, the barge, like these dudes are bona fide carrying at times the back end of what you need.
Yep.
When you need the back end of this thing to carry through, the boys have gotten a chance to do it. But it's been that way the whole season. If you watch this Jays team, you had that duo of Clement and Barger like figuring out things when you had injuries and guys stepping in. And Jay, you watched this team the whole season. The resilience of this squad going through the trials and tribulations of a season. I mean, typically the window closes. And when you look at last year, and I'm not going back that far, I'm just saying when you look at last year, the window was closing on that Jays team to what we thought they were going to be. Then all of a sudden, you find a diamond in the rough here, a diamond in the rough there, and then bam, look where you are, one game from winning the World Series, and it can happen that fast. So it's just been impressive to watch what they've done.
Yeah, I think that some teams, there's a difference between arrogance and confidence, right? And not to throw too much shade, but at times I have certainly felt that there was like an arrogance to the Yankees. And even when you looked at that series, when they were favored and the way that they carried themselves early on, it was kind of arrogant based on what they had actually accomplished. And I get it, they went to a World Series before, but yeah, they'd lost some pretty major pieces that were pivotal to that group. And the Blue Jays, it doesn't come off as arrogant ever. They don't make it seem as though they should be doing this. They're confident, though. And nobody that you're watching on this team, from the bullpen down to everyone that's been a part of the series, has looked overwhelmed by the moment, right? Like the 22-year-old kid, Trey Savage, who makes his first playoff road start in Dodger Stadium. Before that game, I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be a lot, man. This is a heavy amount of pressure on the kid. And he goes out there, he's 12 strikeouts and no walks. And there's just something about the group, the confidence amongst them, the way they interact with one another, the way they respond to the crowd, all of it, where that confidence seems to just be working for them in ways where they don't make really a lot of stupid plays. They play good defense. They have good approaches at the plate, right? It's just all of it seems to be coming together the right way because none of those guys look shook by the gravity of the moment.
Right. You cannot play anything when you're trying or doing things outside of what you do. You can't. You can't have guys trying to be a homer hitting guy and you slap balls to left field. You have to make plays. You have to make the play that's in front of you, that where the ball's in the dirt and Will Smith typically gets up and he has a really good arm and you're taking the extra base. Put yourself in scoring position. What Trey did, I almost feel like the reason I didn't mention him, I feel like Trey's been there the whole season. It's weird to watch this kid. Like, to watch him mound presence, poise, get the baseball, understand the situation, not trying to do too much, utilizing his best stuff and not trying to be cute was, I think, the best recipe for his success the other night. It was like, everything is working. If he had two pitches that night that were working, but he had a slider and a split, like everything was working. And I just said, man, this team looks like the World Series champs. And you can say whatever you want to say about the Dodgers. Yeah, I get it. But when you have what they have, and you have to have guys go seven, like Yamamoto, he has to go 7, 8. He might have to go a complete game to win this game because we've seen what this bullpen has done. So if you're the Jays, you know what you need to do tonight. You know what you have to do.
Yeah.
No, you have to figure out a way to get to that bullpen, period.
Yep. The blueprint is there. It's like you get into a pitching duel, as good as Kevin Gausman is and as well as he's pitched all postseason, you feel like the advantage switches to the Dodgers. And if you can chase that starter and get to the bullpen by the fifth or sixth inning, you're starting to feel like, hey, it's going to get unbelievably loud in there, and good luck to the relief pitchers that are going to feel the weight of the Rogers Center coming down on them. All of those fans that are starving for a championship and facing a team that, as we've said, is completely unafraid of the moment. So, you mentioned the thing about you coming off the couch and the confidence, like, if I need to hit a fastball, of course I can. I do think that applies a little bit to George Springer here. And I think, he looked like he was ready to go. They were saying hour to hour. It's very strange to me, though, because it looked like an oblique injury. He pulls himself from game 3 immediately. Like, he goes, nope, this ain't it. I'm walking off. This is a tough as nails guy. He is not some prima donna who was going to step out of a World Series game. Like, he took a fastball to the knee in game 6 against the Seattle Mariners, or game 5, and was like, I don't care. I'll play. Like, if I can be out there, I'm going to be out there.
Right.
You a little nervous about him trying to come back in the lineup? I would guess that he's actually going to play tonight based on the indications that the Blue Jays have given. But this isn't the knee, right? Like, this is going to impact, I think, his mechanics a little bit more if it is the oblique.
Yeah, well, you know what? Am I a little nervous? Yes, for him. I think the biggest thing we've seen, and you've seen it just as well, is, man, his swings are violent, right? He's found something. And I know they have, the guy there that's, work with the guys with the bat speed and all these things, and it's worked. And I love that. Yes, he's been awesome. And I talked about it the other day, because when you talk about bat speed, most people equate it to, okay, well, what does bat speed mean? Well, it means I can, I can swing harder and hit more homers. No, what it means is I can go A to B quicker, which means I can stand at bats, that I can foul off pitches till I get the pitch I really need to hit. And look what they've done as far as putting the balls, just fouling off pitches and giving, 7, 8, 9 pitch at bats. They've probably been one of the best I've seen in a long time when you put your eyes on them every day, as we've done, this postseason. When you have that ability in your mind that, I'm quicker, I feel good, and then is not there, I think that's the one thing that worries you with George Springer is like, am I going to be the guy that's, that I've been this whole season? I think if you're going to be out there, you have to be that guy. But if you put him in there and you go, hey, listen, give me what you got, and maybe he takes a little less aggressive hacks, then he can be okay. But this is for you and I to just throw around and throw against the wall and see if it sticks, Jay. But to watch what John has done with this lineup and how he's put these guys out there, I think he's going to have a man-to-man with Springer and say, hey, do you want to risk this for 4 at bats, or do you want to come in a clutch situation that we might need you late in the game? That executive decision probably has to come from Springer, that he can give you 4 really good at bats. That's going to put you in a position to win tonight and take this thing home.
So for me, if he's coming back in the lineup, I actually need him to play in the outfield, because I like Bo as the DH, and I don't like the idea of having to take Bo out for a defensive replacement if he gets on the way that they did through the first couple of games of the series when he was the second baseman. I like having the threat of his bat staying in the lineup and not replacing him for, Miles Straw potentially at some point in the ball game, right? Or moving IKF in there. All of a sudden he's sitting there in the 4-hole and you end up potentially in extra innings. I'm asking George Springer, hey, man, you've been a DH all year, but we actually need you in the field, because if you're not right, we're taking you out, we're putting in a Barger, or we're putting in a Lucas. I would guess that those 2 guys are in the lineup, but we're making the easier defensive substitution to get you out and not wanting to mess with the Bo Bichette of it all when he's actually all of a sudden the healthier player. I don't think they'll do it, but that's kind of where my line of thinking is at with him.
Well, I like your line of thinking. I don't think they'll do it either. I think what we've seen from this outfield group in the World Series, the jumps they've gotten on balls and how they've played, you can't. Now that's something you can't mess with, Jay. If you mess with that, I think you're asking for a ton of questions at the end of the game.
Well, I don't know if he can throw either.
And that's the problem, right? So you're putting pressure on the defense that's been really good, and to see Bo at second, I was at both games there. I know he didn't play game 2, but him making that play and then hobbling around, I was like, damn.
I know.
Yes, he made the play. Yes, it's great, but at what price did you know what I mean?
Yeah, I thought he was done, man.
And
I
so,
really did.
yeah, man. And so to see him just, in the dugout, he looked different. His face looked different. His body presence looked different. Just holding the bat is my point. Just holding the bat and knowing he just needs to give you that quality of bat without thinking about grabbing that leather and going on the field. It just changes the mindset. I'm kind of leaning towards Springer not being in there and giving you a big at bat late in the game.
So I mentioned Vladdy. We talked a little bit about it. But where is this run for you? Like, World Series or not, because we're not jinxing. But how much of this run has changed your perception and you think the game's perception of him?
I think the biggest thing for me, and I play with his dad, right? The one thing, and I heard I heard a couple cats talking about, he might be better than Pops. At some point one day, maybe, and I'm saying maybe. That's how good his dad was.
Yeah.
But to watch him grow up and understand the importance of not the money, but if you say you want to be great, I want to see it, because you don't hear it much. Guys just want to play, have a really good career and go out, right off to the sunset and be good. When you have his type talent, somebody has to get in him and get it out of him. And when you do, you get this. When you dedicate everything you're doing to being in this moment and taking a team and saying, hey, it goes through me, and I accept that responsibility and that accountability, then you tip your hat. As a former player that's played as long as I have, when you're watching them, when you hear the buzz that nobody hears, when you're around other, ex-major leaguers, Jay, and you hearing dudes say, man, that dude is some crazy. That look at, I mean, it's just it's hard to put your finger on what it is, but it's just something that you take on and you go, this is it, I got it, and I won't ever relinquish it. That's what he has right now. It's like this thing, and he takes off from now. Like whatever happens, I don't know if you win the World Series or not, but whatever happens with this dude, he's gone. He needed this. He needed it in so many ways, and it wasn't about putting him on the map. We know how damn good Vlad Jr. is, but to be in this spot in this moment, and everybody looks to him as the guy in charge, that's a big responsibility. He's still young, and he's so vibrant. But to watch him now, like take this leap, is where you're going. Now you put yourself in that different category.
Absolutely.
Yes, it's good to be in the league. Yes, it's good to be good. He wants to be great. If you want to be great, that's a different category for that. He's going. He's in that category for me.
Dude, how many guys have signed big ticket contracts and they've gone the wrong way?
Yes, because it's hard. Yeah, Jay, because it's hard to get that deal and not press. I don't care who you are. Yes, you good. Yes, I get it. But when you're $700 million, Shohei Ohtani. Oh my gosh, I can't believe Juan Soto got that deal. Everybody said at the start of the season, yep, this is what's going to happen. Did you see Juan Soto numbers? I know they didn't make the postseason, but did you see him at the end of the season? Crazy. There are certain dudes that you put in certain categories. You go, wait, I'm putting them here because he'll stay there. Like certain dudes you put there and you kind of teeter in like maybe, maybe not. You put dudes in that gray category because you know they'll stay. Yeah. Vlad stays there.
So you know what I was thinking about with him? Like his entire career, we have actually questioned whether or not he was built for the moment. Like he said he has the great Born Ready quote where everybody's going to have a Born Ready T-shirt around this city for like, it was like Kawhi had the board man gets paid quote and everyone had that, or fun guy. And when after the Raptors championship run, that was the shirt you saw all around town that got branded. Born Ready is going to be the one that you see around Toronto everywhere if they end up getting this thing done. But his September numbers weren't great. He hadn't really come through in the postseason. People went, man, does he wear down? Like, is the moment too big for him? Is he able to have joy when he's in these big spots? And now when I'm looking at it and talking to you about this, what's coming to me is how a guy who's been in the spotlight his entire life, who's always been junior, who's always been, hey, man, you better be good. Like, look at your dad. Hey, man, like you step into the Blue Jays, or you're 16 years old, everybody knows who you are in Major League Baseball. Your debut was a home opener for the Toronto Blue Jays. Everything that you've ever done has been watched by millions of people. They're clocking every move you make. That his ability to step into this moment, it's like, because he's been in the spotlight his entire life. He's not nervous about the postseason. He's not nervous about a $500 million contract. This is like who he was always supposed to be all along. And what a cool thing for him, too, to have this chance to, like, really step out of his dad's shadow in a way. Because he's junior. And I'm sure, like, you have called him junior his whole life, and that most people in his life have called him that. And, like, there's a reverence to his father, who is one of the all-time greats of the game. But here he is, again, on the doorstep. 25 hits in the postseason, man. Blue Jays all-time franchise record for most home runs in a postseason run. Like, unquestionably the MVP of this team, not being carried by his teammates, being supported by his teammates, yes. But really, that's kind of the thing that I keep honing in on is this is such a huge moment for him in terms of establishing himself as a pillar, not just somebody who is beside his father or a byproduct of his father.
Right, and that's what you have to hang your hat on every single day. It's like, look, that's my dad, and yes, I accept the responsibility. I understand that I'm supposed to be good and all these things, and you put them in a drawer, Jay, and you go out there and play, man. Like, you can't worry about, am I supposed to be this? Can I live at the expectation of what everybody expects me to be? When you look at him, and you can go back to Vlad with the braids and the body, composition, like how he looked. Yeah. And I'm never ever judging anyone. Only God judges people, and that I don't judge. I don't talk about people. I stay in my lane. But when there's a dedication, you pay attention to it. Mm-hmm. Right? When you and I, if we sitting there watching the game and Vlad walked out this year as opposed to a couple years ago, you go, oh, shoot, this might be different based on what you see. Yep. Because the talent's there. And you just said it. You when you're not in the best shape and you're playing 162 games and and you're expected to be the star, and every time you walk in the clubhouse, everybody looking at you is like, he go, we go. That wears you out. And you'll never hear me talk about, well, you know what, you got to live up to that $500 million. No. They gave you $500 million.
Yeah, you earned it.
You play this the way you play, and then when you accept this responsibility as he is right now, I think that's what makes you get up and want to get to the ballpark, because you know you have it and it's not going nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
I think the doubt sets in because everybody's human.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, just because you put the uniform on and your name is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. doesn't mean you're gonna get 4 hits tonight. It means you're going out there with the potential, because you have it in you. Go out there and be great. You have it. Now go do it. Can you do it? That's the one thing I look at myself, and for 18 years I go, why can't I just be consistent every single night? Because you just don't throw that road out there in that sport. You fail in our sport. But he's so consistent now because he found something. And when you're as good as he is, you can bottle it up. You can bottle it up and go out there and ball like he's balling, because you have that, and you know you can be consistent. That's the difference in everybody.
Yeah, I think that a huge part of him is just playing with joy. Like, he is.
Yeah, man, you hit on the head, man. Yeah. Joy will set you free, and so many, boy, this game beats you up, Jay, so much. But if you play with joy, man, it'll send you different places.
But for him, I feel like it resonates with the group. Like, I did this comparison between him and Bo and why they're so perfect for one another. And one of them is like, Bo is this real individual lone wolf type, right? Who you don't see him just yapping it up with everybody. You see him, he's pretty stoic. Like, there's not a ton of emotion that's constantly outpouring from the guy. And he is just like a dog, hyper competitive. The type of person who, I'm guessing, sweats every little detail, right? When you're around them consistently, you're probably like, dude, give me a break. I'm doing my best. Whereas Vladdy is the complete polar opposite of him, where he's yapping with everybody. He's hugging he's putting the home run jacket on Joe Carter, having a good time, embracing the moment, having a laugh, doing the wiggles at the plate, right? And when you see that Vladdy, it does translate to the best version of him on the field. Like, he's got no poker face, man. He's feeling good.
No.
He's looking good on the field. He's got the waggle going. He's having a chat with Shohei. It might piss you off as a fan seeing him talk to everybody at first base, like having a laugh with Freddie Freeman. And you're like, I'm a fan who's living and dying with this moment. Why are you laughing and smiling? I think he resonates that piece of him to the rest of the group. I think Bichette resonates those pieces of him to the rest of the group. Of course, the starters have an imprint on this, like the veterans that are in that clubhouse. Of course, George Springer does. But like, those two guys are the core pieces of the identity. And again, the two traits of them, I think, are very emblematic of why this whole thing works and why this team is so tight.
Yeah. No, it's a tightness, but when you think about being tight and everybody bonding, it's winning helps, Jay. Winning helps.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It just does. And then you'll look at. So I spent a couple spring trainings in Dunedin, and I was in the cage with Bo, and we were talking hitting. I mean, he is so particular about everything. I mean, you're in the cage with him, and I'm asking him questions. He's like, "Listen, this is what I do. This is how I am. I go T work. I have my mindset is to go right center. I do this. I do that. This way, the only way." You talk to Vlad's like, I just see the ball and I hit it.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
and you go, okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Different strokes, different folks.
Yeah.
If your preparation, and once you find your identity, that to me defines you. Like that takes you to different places. For me, Vlad can't play like Bo.
Mm-hmm.
It makes him too tight.
Exactly
and
right.
It makes him do things uncharacteristically.
Yep.
Right.
Vlad
and
plays like Bo, and it's double play.
Yeah.
That's what you get. That's what you see.
That's what you get. And Bo can't play like Vlad because it's too loose for him. He has to be dialed in. And that, whatever floats your boat, I'm with it because I think we've been waiting to see this duo be this. It was unfortunate that Bo got hurt and we had to deal with all the question marks of what he's going to do, but this is it. This is that window that's, for me, yes, you have Vlad signed, but I don't think you can break this duo up.
No.
It's that special.
Yeah, I think that's become pretty clear from this run. And a bit of a comforting thing for Blue Jays fans that, listen, you're not really talking about the offseason in the future during a postseason run, right? Like you're a game away from the World Series, but there is this underlying feeling like, oh, man, this guy's not leaving this. He's not leaving Vladdy. He's not leaving this crowd. And the ownership group spends money now. So it seems like all of it is a perfect fit. Okay, for this game tonight, I got two more questions for you. One is, again, you were in this spot with the Marlins in 97. You guys won Game 5. You're up 3-2, and you lost Game 6.
Mm-hmm.
How hard is it to contain the emotion that first time through when you have that opportunity? Like, hey, we win tonight. We win a World Series, man. All of our dreams, every cage we ever stepped into, every fantasy we ever had was about this moment. I have to imagine that even for people who are professional athletes, even for guys like George Springer who have won before, Max Scherzer who have won before, that it's an added challenge to the game that you can win.
Yeah, well, to Springer and Scherzer, Jay, their winnings in the past is their own separate memory. This is like you've never won before type feel. Every moment, right? So we won in 97, I was like, yeah, that's cool. But in 08, we lost. I'm like, damn. You know what I mean? Like, it's separate.
Yep.
So this is like new and fresh and like right now. And so I think you lean on all three you just mentioned. If anybody in that clubhouse, you lean on Vlad because he's been that dude. You lean on Springer because they've won. You lean on Scherzer, and you walk in. And I love what Vlad has said every time they won a game.
Mm-hmm.
And he said it after they won. They won. You have one more. You don't count anything before you go out there and you ball between the lines. Something has to happen early in this game against Yamamoto. Something has to happen positive early in this game, and it just. I don't care who you are. It just alleviates the little bit of pressure you come into the game with because it's hard to put teams away. You know this. It's hard to put teams away. And you have to go out there and do something not crazy. Just, it could be as easy as score a run early.
Mm-hmm.
Just set the tone. You know what I mean? Set the tone early. Score and kind of keep the fans on their feet and in the game and engage.
Mm-hmm.
Then it becomes the game we want to watch and sit down at home and watch. I'm not there, so sit at home and watch it because you don't want to take the air out of the center early, man, with anything crazy on the other side, and it might happen. You make a mistake, that dude that leads off, and you could be 1-0, and everybody's sitting down early. That's how good he is too.
Yeah. I think if that's a great blueprint of just, hey, if you can make something happen early, you can take a lead in this game based on the way the Dodgers have looked, based on the way that the Jays have, based on what I've seen from this crowd. It would be tremendously difficult for the Dodgers to overcome the momentum change that is going to shift with them. But that's the last one here, which is, so when I was at Game 2 and I was watching these guys take their plate appearances against Yamamoto, all I could think was, I don't know if I've been to a game where I have watched the Blue Jays look this just mixed up at the dish. He was fooling them. And a guy with that stuff where it's just he's throwing 98 and then all of a sudden he's breaking you off with 75 and they couldn't hit. Like I can't tell you how many loud outs there were in that baseball game. Maybe 2. Like it was
right.
It was a tough sled, man. Like incredibly tough sled. And he is locked in. Is there an approach? Like, I don't know what you do with a guy like that has that kind of stuff and who's pitching that way.
So if you go back to his start in TO, you had your best player at the plate, right, with runner scoring position.
Mm-hmm.
That one inning you had.
The first inning they had runners on
inning.
First and third, no outs, and they didn't cash one.
Right. There you go. And you had Vlad at the plate. Well, who had a decent at bat, just struck out on the nasty pitch that Yamamoto threw. But you can't strike out, Jay. That's the point. You know what I mean? You have to flip him. You have he's that dude that's going to give you a shot, and if you come up empty, you're in for a long night. It's that simple. He rides the emotions of that. Like he you can see him. He's not fretting. He knows he has to make a pitch. But if you get him and flip the script, you got a shot. If you don't and he settles in, you and I both know what you're in store for because he's done it multiple times this postseason already. And I don't think it changes. Maybe it does, but I don't think so. You can't go, well, we just got to try to, do this and do that. Well, he don't give you those tries. He's going to give you one. It might be early. If you capitalize on it, to my point I was just making, and score on them early and knock the fire out of him and get his pitch count up, then you do yourself, justice, because now you can get to where you want to get to, which you and I both know that bullpen has been sus for the Dodgers.
Yeah. I want the pitch count up too. It scares me a little bit though. No, so like I saw a highlight of him with I think Oryx Buffaloes where I was in their championship. He threw like 130 pitches, and it's like I think this guy's arm is a little different. Like he's like I criticized Tarek Skubal for coming out in that game 5 because I was like, oh man, like you're not at 100 pitches yet. Like go out and give you. I don't think Yamamoto's coming out because of pitch count tonight unless it hits like the 130s. And like if he's dealing, that he's staying in.
Damn,
hey Cliff,
crazy.
Yeah, I know. We got to go. We're up against it, but man, always a pleasure having you, and thanks so much for making the time today, man. Always a treat.
No doubt, man.
Yeah.
No doubt, man. Hey, I know that city buzzing, man. So we'll see what happens tonight. It's gonna be fun.
Absolutely.
Fun watch.
See you, man. Cliff Floyd, 97 World Series champion, 17 years in the bigs, and MLB Network analyst. All right, quick break. Subscribe to the podcast. Leave 5 stars. Game 6. Yo, I know a lot of you listen to this live. Now you're watching on SPORTSNET Plus. Subscribe to the podcast because if win or lose, I'm going to do an emergency pod this weekend. I'll throw something up on the feed. I don't know exactly when. Let's put it this way. If the Jays win, it'll probably be later because I'll be cripplingly hungover. And if the Jays lose, it'll probably come out a little earlier. And bang, like let's just get this over and done with. On to Game 7. Again, you can reach out anytime on Twitter and Instagram at JD Bunkis. Love feeling the vibe of the city right now. And it honestly helps out the show because, it gives me, I think, a little bit more of a pulse. And that's all. Again, I'm closing the show with just that, is what I said off the top. Okay, you got kids. You got to do some Halloween. You got to do some trick-or-treating. Yep. Okay, cool. Get it done. Hey, maybe you want to watch this with your kids because you want to impart the joy that you've gotten from this baseball team onto them and hope that someday they can experience something like this with their loved ones. But tonight, just, the tickets are expensive. If you're going, that's great. If you're not, just spend it if you can with the people who you have built relationships with because you've waited. They haven't won in 32 years. You've waited a long-ass time for something like this, an opportunity like this. They don't come very often. Appreciate the moment. Be with the people that you love. Be with the people that love baseball. Be with the people that love this team. Bandwagon, lifelong fan, who cares? Enjoy it.